In 1943, the CEO of IBM, Thomas Watson, predicted, "I think there's a world market for maybe 5 computers." A statement that soon proved to be wrong. Fortunately, forecasting methods have improved over the last 70 years. These days, forecasting is less of an art and more of a science. The use of statistical methods and economic indicators have become widespread standard. The next technology innovation from a 2017 perspective that's been forecast is IoT. And forecasters are currently surpassing themselves with the predictions of where the Internet of Things are going. Headlines today look like this. One of the ones that really stand out for me is the fact that in 2020, we anticipate consuming 50 trillion gigabytes of data. I find the sheer amount of estimations and numbers on the IoT market highly intriguing. After all, big and small businesses, as well as individual people, use these forecasts to make important decisions about investments and product development, etc. But when I look at what is being forecast, well, there's 2 things that I think we should really look at. The first thing in our industry I think we should be looking at is connected devices. Now, I see a connected device as something that's going to transmit data across a network without any human-to-human or human-to-computer interaction. Many technology companies have published data around the IoT market for connected devices. Cisco and Ericsson are 2 of the leaders in this space, and both foresee around 50 billion connected devices by 2020. In addition, established research companies like Gartner and IDC have also put in their own forecasts which align to these. Today, it's claimed that already we have over 20 billion autonomous connected devices. By 2020, we expect to have over 6 connected things for every living person on the planet Earth. The next thing I think we should be looking at, and probably more importantly, is the revenue being generated from IoT devices. Again, a number of key companies are estimating how much revenue will be generated from the IoT marketplace by 2020. But this is where we get a few discrepancies. If you look at someone like Gartner, they're suggesting that by 2020, the IoT marketplace will be worth about 300 billion, whereas IDC believes it will be a $7 trillion industry by 2020. Now, to me, Gartner's number appears to be a little bit conservative. If you look at the likes of Apple or Google or Facebook, together they generate about £250 billion worth of revenue today. On the other hand, IDC number I think is extremely high. Now both of these numbers are extreme, and I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that we will see our numbers grow to this. What I am trying to demonstrate though is how the market is evolving and growing, and why all of us in this room should work out how we can be part of this growth. To bring this back to something we should all be able to get our heads around. Prior to joining Zest4, I worked for the same company for 23 years. In 2013, I took over the role of head of M2M for the UK within that organisation. At the time I took on this role, we had a base of about 1.9 million active subscribers that were generating about £19 million worth of revenue a year. And it had taken about 25 years to build the base to that size. By the start of the financial year in 2016, 3 years into my tenure, the base had grown from 1.9 million active subscribers to 3.4 million active subscribers. And the revenue generated from that base had grown from 19 million to almost 36 million. So in less than 3 years, we'd almost doubled what it had taken nearly 25 years to build. Now, these are not analysts' forecasted figures. These are achieved results from one of the UK's biggest network providers. I'd like to take some credit for this growth, as it happened on my watch, but whilst I may have had something to do with it, as far as I'm aware, my competitors were also experiencing similar levels of growth. And this is why I want every one of us who's looking at this deck to take note and work out how we're going to get our fair share of this future business. IoT is an emerging topic of technical, social and economic significance. Consumer products, durable goods, cars, trucks, other everyday objects are all being combined with internet connectivity that promise to transform the way we work, live and play. But probably 87% of people don't know what the term IoT is and what it means to them. It feels like right now that in our industry, IoT is the most hyped emerging technology. But although the term is new, this technology has been around for years. And after working with the partner channel for over 20 years, and being part of M2M and IoT for the last 4 or 5 years, I'm starting to understand the barriers and challenges and fears that channel partners are facing when they think about moving into the IoT space. It's not always clear how they can be part of the revolution. So one of my objectives is not just to share with you the facts about the size of the opportunity in IoT, but I also wanted to demonstrate how Zest4 can help each of you evolve into this space if you haven't already done so. The key thing for me, if 87% of people have never heard of IoT, then there's a very, very strong chance that a big percentage of your sales force or people that work in your organisation are part of that 87%. Or have heard of it but don't understand how they can deliver it, how they can adapt and grow. So I'd like to share with you some of the basic fundamentals that I think will help channel partners offer basic solutions that will generate instant, long-term revenues and open doors to much more complex and rewarding opportunities in the future. So let's get down to why we're here today. What can Zest4 bring to your business to either enhance your existing M2M offer or evolve your business into the M2M space? For me, there's 5 key areas that we look at: managed connectivity, end-to-end solutions, bespoke opportunities, keeping up to date with future technologies, and then the support and service. Today though, I'm only going to focus on the top 3. So the first one, managed connectivity. So what is managed connectivity and how does it differ from mobile data? Well, most of you will have sold mobile data in the past. You buy it from a mobile network in a specific bundle size. It's usually something like 1 gig, 3 gig, 5 gig, 10 gig, etc. And you buy it on a SIM by SIM basis. So a customer may ask you for a SIM card with 3 gigabytes of data on it, and you'll buy 3 gigabytes of data from the mobile network. But if your customer only uses 500 megabytes of data 1 month, they've paid for 2.5 gig that they haven't used. You've paid for 2.5 gig that haven't used. The mobile networks only consumed 500 megabytes of data, so they're benefiting from underutilization. If the following month the customer uses 4 gigabytes of data, there'll be overage charges, and overage charges on mobile data are generally up to 10 times more than the cost of the original data. So your customer will pay you for 4 gig of data, but you'll pay the mobile network for 4 gig of data, so you get no benefit, just the mobile network. Now if you have 10 SIMs or 100 SIMs, this is going to multiply the problem. And the challenge with over or underutilization, you don't know that your customers over or underutilize their data allowance until it's too late. It may be a month or 2 months later down the line when they get a bill before they realise. If you use our managed platform, you can do several things here that you can't do with normal data. Firstly, you can share the data across all of your SIMs. This means if you've got 10 SIMs with 3 gigabytes of data, instead of the data being applied on a SIM by SIM basis, it's aggregated across the entire account. So if a SIM only uses 500 meg, it doesn't matter. If a SIM uses 4 gig, it doesn't matter, as long as your overall pot stays within the 30 gigabyte bundle. You have real-time visibility of the data, so you'll be able to see on the platform the data usage across every single SIM and how each SIM is performing. You can see when the SIMs are in session, that way you can find out if there's any faults or misuse. You can set alerts and caps. Most people set an alert at circa 80% of the data. That means you get a warning prior to hitting the data limit. And you can also set a bar, so when it hits the data limit, it stops working, so you've got no overage. By managing your estate properly, you may find that you don't need 30 gig of data across those 10 SIMs. You may get away with 15 or 20 gig. Now, at the end of the day, you can still charge your customer for 30 gig if that's what you want to do. But if you do that, then it's you that's benefiting from the underutilization rather than the mobile network. So although you may pay a little more for managed data on the face of it, you'll probably find that once you start selling managed data, it will be A, more cost efficient for the customer, and B, more profitable for yourselves. And flexible tariffs using managed data means if you get the bundle size wrong, you can flex it for future months. The other challenge you have with mobile data when you buy it direct from a mobile network is IP addressing. And I may be teaching Granny to suck eggs here, but I'm going to speak about IP addressing anyway. Your IP address is like your home address for your internet-enabled device. Now, if your home address changed every time you left home, you'd know physically where your house was, but no one else would be able to find it. Or you wouldn't be able to find it by post, by mail, etc. So if your IP address changes for your internet-enabled device every time you log onto the internet, you've got the same problem. Physically, you'll know where it is, but you won't be able to remotely access it. Now, mobile data SIMs, when you buy them from a mobile network, come with a dynamic IP. And a dynamic IP means it changes each time you connect to the web. Now, this is fine for a phone or a laptop because you don't usually have to remotely interrogate it. And if you do, it's in your hand, you can log into the device and find out what the IP address is. Now, this is no good for a remote M2M device. If you don't know the IP address, you have no way of remotely accessing it. Again, you'll know where it is physically, but you won't be able to get into it. As such, for the biggest percentage of true M2M devices, a standard mobile data SIM would be of no use at all. Using our managed platform, we issue every SIM card with a fixed static IP. This means the IP address never changes. As such, you always know what the IP address is, so you can always remotely access it. And then we have two variants of fixed IP. Fixed private and fixed public. Fixed private does what it says on the tin. It's a private IP address that doesn't change. And it does mean that if you want to get access to it, you'll need to access it using a VPN. And again, we can provide that. Fixed public is a fixed IP address that doesn't change, that can be accessed over the public web. Both solutions that we can provide using our managed connectivity platform. Managed connectivity also means commercial flexibility. When you buy mobile data from your mobile network, you're going to have to commit to a specific bundle of data for a specific term. Again, usually 24 or 36-month terms. But what if you only need this data for a short period of time as a temporary solution? It can be very expensive. If you need 300 gigabytes of data for 3 months, say, but you've got to pay for it for 24 months. Using managed data, we can offer bundle sizes to suit the customer, anything from 1 megabyte upwards. Our biggest bundle we sell today to a customer is 20 terabytes a month, and that's growing. We can offer pay-as-you-use data. So as an example, you can use 10 gigabytes 1 month, 50 gig the next month, and 1 gig the next month. You only pay for what you use. And we can do it any term you want, from 30 days upwards. You can also have a mixed estate. Some of your SIMs could be on Voda, whilst others are on O2. But you'll have visibility of all of them within the same portal under one pane of glass. And we also offer multi-network SIMs, which are SIMs that will roam across any network, whether it be in the UK, Europe or worldwide. This means a mobile M2M device should always be connected. So if you're serious about getting into IoT and M2M, you make sure you choose a provider that will offer you access to managed data. Once you've got access to managed data, you then have to be able to sell it. And if you walk into your customer and ask them, do you want to buy some M2M? Or what their IoT strategy is, you'll probably get a blank look. What I've also found working in channel is some of our channel managers and salespeople are reluctant to talk about M2M as their knowledge is minimal. Sometimes they need something physical to talk about in order to get the conversation going. With this in mind, at Zest4 we're building a portfolio of easy to sell end-to-end solutions. So you can use these to meet an initial demand or use as a Trojan horse to get you in the door and earn you the right to talk about M2M and what else. So I just want to highlight a few of these so we can show you what's working for us and our channel partners. And the first one is a vehicle telematics solution. Now, vehicle telematics have been around for, well, forever now, it seems. And it's a saturated market. But the good thing about it being a saturated market is it's always evolving. There are always new developments. Most customers get it, and almost every business could benefit from it. But at Zest4, we wanted to bring you one that was slightly different, low cost, and really easy to sell. Now, most telematics solutions need to be fully installed, which means an engineer's visit. This can cost anything between £100 up to £150 per vehicle. And the kit is usually expensive, so it requires a long-term lease. And the monthly cost can be high, so it's seen as a running cost to a business rather than a benefit. What we've tried to do at Zest4 is come from the opposite angle. So we've gone to market with a device which is really low cost. The hardware on this is £60. The monthly cost of the service has two tiers, between £8 and £13 depending on the level you want. It's self-install, plug and play, so there's no need for an engineer's visit. And it is a very, very high spec and does much more than most current solutions. The benefit of having a plug and play device means if you've got a lease vehicle or a short-term vehicle, you don't have to go without any telematics. Just plug it out of one vehicle, plug it into the next. The device plugs into the vehicle's diagnostic port. This means any information that the vehicle CAN bus can supply can be seen via the device and the platform. It initially picks up the vehicle's VIN number, odometer reading, and then you can see things like brake pad wear, engine oil levels and temperature levels, service dates, fuel usage. Using this level of information, you can plan when you need to take a vehicle off the road for a service. It will tell you if a driver is driving with any warning lights on or any faults that occur in real time. On most vehicles, it will tell you when the driver refuels and how much they put in. This means you know if the driver is filling up a separate vehicle or a jerry can at the same time as filling up your van. It will give you full driver behaviour. It will track the movements per second, the speed, how fast they corner, how harsh they brake and accelerate, idling time, how many stops they make. It will allow you to print reports that detail all of this information so you can fully manage driver behaviours. And I'll share with you a real example of what you can change using this device. So I average about 26 miles per gallon in my car. I'm a little heavy-footed and can drive quite aggressively. So I put one in my car for a period of time and I told it to alert me as a driver when I was driving badly. So I set it to beep at me if I broke the speed limit, to beep at me if I accelerated too harshly, cornered too harshly, braked too harshly. And for a period of time, I altered my driving style to make sure I was driving within the parameters that I'd set up. And lo and behold, my MPG went up. During the period I altered my driving habits, it went from 26 MPG to 33 MPG. So imagine if you could change the way your fleet of drivers drive and increase their MPG by 10%, you'd see an ROI on this device that would probably cover the cost of it and maybe even give you some upside. And let's face it, it should be an easy sell. Every customer has got a vehicle. The next solution I want to share with you is another one that I believe everyone should be able to sell that's selling mobile or fixed line services. If you put in some form of fixed line service in for a customer, or you have a customer going into a greenfield site, you're at the mercy of people like OpenReach. And I'm sure we've all experienced this where we encounter a delay. It could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 months, maybe longer. So we've put together a package that will allow you to drop cellular connectivity into a customer and have them up and running within about 30 minutes. Now this is not new technology, but the flexible terms we've secured with the mobile networks, along with managed data, give us the ability to add something completely different. A customer can use as much data as they need to run their business for as little or as long as they need. Then when the fixed line goes in, the service will seamlessly switch over and act as failover. Due to the terms we've secured with the network, we can now allow this level of flexibility. I'll give you an example of a customer that's gone live with us recently. So we have a customer that wanted to run SIP. They have an Avaya system, and they wanted voice to tech priority. So we got a router with 4 SIM slots. We put 2 SIMs in initially and bonded them together to increase the throughput. We segregated these within the router to make sure we maintain the core quality. We then put a 3rd SIM in the router and dedicated this to their CCTV. And the final SIM was put in and dedicated to running their office, web browsing, email, etc. We then put a 300GB bundle across the top of this, so all the SIMs ate out of the same bundle. But using the managed platform, they could see which SIM was utilising how much data. When the Ethernet service goes live, the unit will just sit in the background and offer a failover service for not much more than £15 a month. Now, if you sell fixed line services, you could be adding this to every proposal you put out. Or why not keep a few units in of your own? Rent them out as a temporary device when needed. This will work for pop-up solutions such as festivals, camping, or anywhere really where you want to put in temporary connectivity solution. We also have some in-vehicle solutions that work in exactly the same way, but will turn every vehicle into a Wi-Fi hotspot. These can be used on coaches, taxis, trucks. The solution we're selling is currently being used by the Gloucestershire Police Force. They have 180 police cars now which are operating as mobile police stations and are all Wi-Fi hotspots. I think that anyone that understands the mobile or fixed line market should be able to get their head around this type of cut the wire cellular connectivity. It's a really, really simple sell that can give your customer some real benefit from day one. The last solution I want to cover for you today is a product called Smart Witness. Smart Witness is a new product for Zest4. This solution has been selling worldwide. There's over 200 vehicles around the world now that are benefiting from Smart Witness protection. The vehicle is bridging the gap now between standard vehicle telematics and in-car video. Now, you can go down to Halfords or any other retailer that sells car products and pick up a dash cam. Now that's great if you're going to stick it in your own vehicle, but if you're a fleet manager and you want to get some video evidence out of your vehicles, using a standard dash cam, you've got to take the SD card out and you'll have to view and sit and watch that video to see any incidents that are happening. So it's great as an individual, but as a fleet manager, it's just impractical. What Smart Witness does, it brings the full suite of vehicle telematics that we spoke about earlier and a camera into one device. And the camera is connected. So the camera is always recording. Whenever the vehicle's in motion, the camera will be recording, but it's not transmitting all the time. You decide when you want the camera to transmit data. So you program it to set up and give you an event. Now the event is something that you would program in. So it could be harsh cornering, harsh braking, harsh acceleration, etc. Or it could be that you just want to know if there's any impact. What will happen when an event is triggered? The camera will take 10 seconds of video prior to the event and 10 seconds of video after the event and send it through to a predefined location. That means you can see instantly what your drivers have been doing. Again, a real world example. So if your driver's driving along 40 miles an hour and all of a sudden has to brake really harshly and come to a stop, it could be that your driver's been driving without sort of due care and attention, not had his eyes on the road and had to brake harshly to stop himself hitting traffic that had stopped ahead of him. Bad driving. However, on the other hand, it could be that your driver's been driving along at 40 miles an hour, open road, clear, nothing about, he's watching what he's doing, a kid or an animal runs out and he's had to brake instantly to stop himself hitting it. So, great driving. But without some form of evidence, you don't know what's happening. This solution will bring that to you. You'll be able to remotely log into the solution and look through the camera, so you will be able to see at any point during the day what your driver's doing, where he is, how he's driving, how he's performing. You can take snapshots and you can download videos. Again, for driver training or driver monitoring, it could be an invaluable tool. Because the camera and portal is giving you real life information, it means not only are you going to be able to monitor your driver's behaviour and offer a duty of care, not only are you going to be able to see full vehicle telematics and what your fleet is doing and manage the way that your fleet performs, But there's also some other benefits that are not written down on paper. And one of the things that we've been looking at is how this affects insurance companies. Now, usually, if you speak to an insurance company, they'll tell you if they insure large vehicles, such as large vans or lorries, if ever there's an incident, they usually have to admit liability, or at least a percentage of liability, purely because there's not enough evidence or witness statements to corroborate the driver's story. And usually it would cost more to fight a case in court than it would to actually contribute towards it. So with the video evidence, you can see exactly what's happened. It gives insurance companies a reason to fight a claim and make sure that there's no liability. And if there's no liability, then that means your insurance premium is not going to go up for the next year. The other thing that insurance companies like is a thing that's called first notification of a claim. Now, usually if there's an incident, there's two insurance companies involved. And it's the insurance company that gets notified first that generally owns that claim. So they'll decide how long a vehicle is going to be leased out for. Is it going to be a long or short-term lease vehicle, or is it just a day-by-day hire? Where the garages are that are going to be repairing the vehicles. And if they can control the claim, they can usually control the cost of that claim. Now, if they're not liable for it, it doesn't matter. That claim can go on for weeks, months even, running to tens of thousands of pounds. But if their customer is liable, then they want that claim to be done as soon as possible. So if they can reduce a claim down from 10 grand to 2 grand, it gives real benefit to them. And again, that could have a knock-on effect on your next year's premiums. So insurance companies are really keen to have this type of technology in there. And the other thing that this brings, the new model, KP2, is you can create a Wi-Fi hotspot within each vehicle. You can tether to a mobile phone. There's a Bluetooth panic button. So it's a solution that covers all aspects of vehicle telematics, as well as an in-cab camera and giving you live video evidence. This is a solution that we've just added to the portfolio at Zest4, and we believe will be a real success within the UK. If you're serious about selling M2M, you're going to come across customers that know what they want to achieve but don't know how they're going to do it. You'll find customers that just want to put a SIM card into an existing device. They just want to change their provider. You'll find customers that want an end-to-end solution, a product or a service that we've already got that will solve a pain point within their business. But you'll also find customers who know what they want but don't know how to get it, don't know where to go for it. And it's bespoke IoT opportunities like this that really make M2M and IoT exciting. Now, it'd be impossible for us or you to stock every device or every solution, but what we can do is either put you or the customer in front of someone that can supply it, or in other cases we can work with you and our existing contacts to build something that will work for your customer. So rather than go through all these bits and pieces on the slide, I'll share with you some real examples of what we've done. So we worked with a social housing project. They wanted to create a smart lock. So a lock that would go on all the buildings with a keypad and a camera, so they could see who accessed the building, when they accessed it, when they left the building, etc. They wanted the ability to remotely lock it, remotely change the codes. So we worked with a few providers to enable us to deliver a smart lock that gave all this functionality. A SIM card went in it in the end that allows them to transfer the data. We're working with a partner who has a customer who services church clocks. Now they service about 1,000 clocks around the UK. And what the main priority is to make sure that they're not running fast or they're not running slow. And they have service level agreements in place apparently, where they can be penalised if the clock is too fast or too slow. And I'm not sure what the threshold is, but there is a threshold. So we're working with them to help them come up with a little device that will sit in the church clocks and transmit data back to them so they can know remotely if a clock's running on time, if it's fast or running slow. So the cost of this solution will probably save them money on the fees that they would have had by falling out of the SLA. We have a customer that approached us and said, I've got 15,000 cages that carry stock. I want a little device that's robust, that can go on these cages, and I want to know where they are 24/7. I want to be able to geofence it, so set a location and alert me if this cage moves when it shouldn't. I want to know when the cage opens and closes. It'd be good if I could get a camera so I could see who opened the cage and who closed the cage, or if it was tampered with. Oh, and by the way, the cages aren't powered, so the device needs to have its own power supply. On the back of this, we sat down with a number of our suppliers and we've managed to create a module that will sit inside an asset tracker. The asset tracker will go onto the cage, it will do everything that they need. It will take a snapshot, upload it to a control center every time the cage is opened, etc, etc, and it's got its own power source. Now, this product is probably taken us 6-7 weeks to develop, and we're expecting the beta unit to come through in the next couple of weeks. This will solve a problem for that customer. Because it's Zest4 that's developing it this time though, we'll keep that product within our portfolio so we can use it again and again and again. Now they're just a few examples of where we've used bespoke opportunities to generate and meet a customer demand. So you're going to come across these, so rather than walking away from a customer, irrespective of what solution is you're looking for, we'll aim to work with you to find a supplier, manage the progress and help present a solution that's going to meet your customer requirements. So before I wrap up, I just want to share with you a partner success story. And I'm not going to go into anything too complex. This is a success story that could relate to anyone that's looking at this deck. It's a really simple solution. So I have a partner, they've got a customer that's running a fleet of vehicles based out of Northern Ireland. On each of these vehicles there was a camera solution, a DVR. DVR got a SIM card in there. I need to put mobile data in it. I need to put 1 GB of mobile data on each one of these SIM cards. The challenge is, as I spoke about earlier, the data wasn't aggregated. You didn't have any sight of what data was being used until the bill came 6 weeks later. The vehicles were based in Northern Ireland and a percentage of them ran into Southern Ireland. So he was getting European charges. On his customers, of the SIMs they were using, 40% of them were going into overage. So he was experiencing high overage charges. The 60% that were underutilising, he was getting no benefit from. Top and bottom of it all, when he put a solution into this customer, and he'd got about 200 devices active, he'd made some money on the hardware, but he was making zero margin on the connectivity. To help this partner out, what we've done is looked at his entire solution. Now the first thing we did is looked at how much data he was utilising across the piece. And although 40% of his SIMs were going into overage, it turned out that overall he was utilising less than 500 megabytes per SIM. So the first thing we did is put him on managed data so we could see that, and they gave him an aggregated pool of data of 500 megabytes per SIM. Now, it could be that the partner is charging the customer for 1 gig, that's his prerogative, but he's only buying 500 meg per SIM for us. And every time they add a new SIM to that pot, it adds another 500 meg of data that's going to be shared across the piece. Instantly, it stopped him getting any overage charges. So that puts him into profit straight away. The second thing is we looked at is where the vehicles were travelling. We put a roaming SIM solution in there, so that means if the vehicle travels from Northern Ireland into Southern Ireland or anywhere in Europe, it's got a fixed price. He can log on to the portal and he can see everything that's happening with each SIM. It can see the utilisation in real time. That allows him to offer an additional level of service to the end customer. Now initially, we only rolled out 40 SIMs as a trial. Based on the success though, we've now rolled out over 400 more. The cost to serve for this is minimal to him. So as well as adding real benefit to the end user, is actually now starting to make some real money from the connectivity element. So the conclusion of this success story is this real upside from a partner. He hasn't really had to change the way that he's pricing to his end user. He's been able to purchase less data. He's got no risk of bill shock. And he's now making profit from connectivity. With a base of over 500 SIMs now, he's seeing forecasted GP of £120,000. This is growing by about 20k a month with all the new SIMs that he's added. So you can see, just by taking a simple solution that was in operation already and moving it from standard mobile data onto managed data, how it can make a difference for A, the end user, but more importantly, you as the partner. Now at Zest4, we can offer all our services to our partners at a wholesale level, where you'd buy from us at a fixed rate, then add as much or as little margin as you require. We'll provide you with CDRs and all the information you need to bill, manage and contract your customers. This allows you to build a base of customers that you can own, contract and manage, that's going to deliver you long-term incremental revenue growth. Alternatively, if you don't have the ability to bill, we can bill on your behalf. We'll joint brand a bill. You will bill the customer on your behalf at a rate that you want and pay you a revenue share based on the difference between the agreed buy rate and the sell rate that you've given us. We offer a partner program that will give you access to training resource, technical support and marketing support. We can do joint sales visits where we will position ourselves as a consultant to your business to help you win in front of a customer. And we can do all this with no minimum commitment. Everyone is welcome to work with us no matter how much or how little business you can deliver in this space. While the concept of combining computer sensors and networks to monitor and control devices have been around for decades, IoT is now a reality. And IoT will provide a fully interconnected smart world with relationships between objects and their environment and objects and people becoming more tightly intertwined. While the potential ramifications are significant, a number of challenges may stand in the way of you achieving success in this space, particularly in the areas of your connectivity supplier. Mobile networks may not be the best place for you to go. Your data management capabilities. Mobile data will only get you so far, so you need to consider managed data. Your ability to meet customer requirements, either with existing end-to-end solutions or bespoke propositions. And your ability to flex and move with new technologies. So if anything that I've positioned with you today has turned on a light bulb or given you food for thought, please get in touch and let's see what we can do to ensure we're all successful in this space. If your question is, how do I do IoT in channel? Zest4 should be your answer. Thank you.